hopefully I can get this one up. So, oh, this sunlight is something else. It's pretty amazing. Catches all my handsome features. No, so Portrait of a Woman on Fire. I've had quite the bit of anticipation for this film. I saw the trailer for it quite a while ago, but probably more than a handful of months ago. Swore I was gonna watch it. I wound up just not putting enough effort into it to where I wasn't able to watch it in the theaters. But um, thankfully, uh, it's streaming on Hulu right now. So hey, yeah, I thought to myself, yeah, I'm gonna watch that. Now, I did myself a disservice in not watching it all the way through. I watched it. Took me 2 days to watch it. I just wasn't in the mood to watch it. Be honest with you, I've only been watching primarily YouTube videos and things of that nature. So it's not they're not in the same category. I mean, it's not even a shot at YouTube. I mean, it's this is a full length motion picture versus a 10 30 minute clip of somebody who's simply voicing an opinion. Can't really compare the two. The only thing that the two have in common is that they're both on film. Uh, yeah, some sort. So anyway, um, I read the little. I guess was that a synopsis? Well, I read the little overview of the film. It takes place in France or somewhere along those lines. I think they're speaking French. They might be speaking French. I'm not 100%. Um, so there is subtitles. It takes place in like 1770 or something like that. Um, there is a young lady who's fresh out of a convent, so that means she's quite young. Um, she has an arranged marriage on the way. Excuse me. He has an arranged marriage on the way, and her mother, which is another lady that comes into play, has commissioned her like pre-wedding picture, wait, pre-wedding painting or something like that. I guess it's tradition or something. I wasn't paying too much attention. Not that I didn't get the gist of the movie. I'm just saying I didn't look into all the details. It is in a foreign language, and again, I've said this many times about movies that are in a different language. It doesn't necessarily hurt the film, but you lose a bit of connection because you're having to translate what you see. You're having to translate emotion and different cultural things uh, across different borders. I guess that's the best way I could put it. But you're having to like reconstruct it and try and um, understand it as you would as an American. But anyway, um, so that's two, the mother and the daughter. The young lady also she has to do the painting, and she's another young lady that comes into the picture. Um, and of course, there's another young lady who plays a pretty big part in the movie. She's basically a slave. Remember, this is 1770. She's like the servant to the one who's fresh out of the convent. So it's a completely different time frame than we're used to, than I'm used to, I should say. Um, but yeah, so starts off really slow, but right off the bat, they're not holding any punches as far as setting goes. It's it's very pleasing to look at. There are several instances in this movie where if you took a picture or you stopped that frame, you can make that into a portrait by itself, which I've seen that in other movies, of course. It's great to look at. I have no problem with that whatsoever. Um, Hope I didn't say it sarcastically. Hope I didn't say it sarcastically. But no, it holds up. It's a pretty quality film. I feel like, as far as that goes. But I just don't under. I feel like they didn't spend enough time with. I feel like they didn't spend enough time with these two characters getting to know one another. It was like short questions, short answers, kind of jumping all over the place, and then all of a sudden, because I've seen the um, I've seen the preview, not the preview. Yeah, I've seen the preview, so I kind of knew what was going to happen. These two are going to fall in love, of course, but they didn't do. The writers didn't do a good enough job of building that up. It was basically like, basically, what's happening was like, um, uh, she kind of had that. She had to hide the fact that she was painting her because the young lady, of course, was trying to. It was a bit of a pushback. She's basically getting. She's just got done with her schooling, and she's gonna get sent off to get married to some guy she doesn't even know. So there's a lot of pushback actually. So she doesn't want to sit for the portrait, and so the mother devises a plan. Okay, I'll find a female painter, so she can connect in that way, and don't tell her. Tell the person painting that, hey, you're not. Don't tell her that you're painting her. So you can just paint and be on your business. So she can sit still, and basically be right. And, it comes out pretty early what the mother's intentions are for the pairing. So the mother can, of course, have a certain amount of wealth and basically live freely. She's basically selling her daughter for her own happiness, which is pretty heavy. Um, but yeah, after the confusion, I call it confusion. After the confusion of these two magically falling in love without um, that much of without even getting to know each other, really, it's like love at first sight, kind of like you have to use your imagination, that type of thing. Um, I think any logical person, even if you do feel those butterflies, how they call it, after after you get to know a person, you'll know. You know it'll be like a light switch. Either you do or you don't. You know what I mean? I know there's other factors involved in it. I'm not discount. I'm just saying. I'm just right now. I'm just doing like one little. It's a complex thing. I'm only taking a sliver of it and putting that to the forefront. Hey, I apologize for that, but that's the way I'm thinking of. That's why I see the film, at least in this part. But after that, it just goes up. It basically it was. I don't want to say that it was at a point to where it had nowhere else to go but up. I don't want to say it was so low that it couldn't go any lower, but it pretty much at that point pretty much was. Um, it picks up. There's there's brief moments. There's looks that started to become things started to become like, okay, I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for it. My anticipation is starting to bubble and bubble and bubble. So I'm like, when are they going to get it over with at this point? But the whole time that this kind of dance is going back and forth, and there's also little things that take place in the movie that are connected. For instance, there's uh, like a bouquet of flowers, and when you're first introduced to them, it's alive and vibrant and full of life. And as their relationship progresses, and it's ups and downs, of course. At one point, when you think it's basically completely deteriorated, uh, you get another shot at the bouquet of flowers, and it's partially decaying. And you're like, oh, okay, I get it. It's for the relationship, and they do that again with the music. I looked it up. I think the composer's name is like Vitali, if I got it right. Hopefully, I got it right. It's one of those group of guys, Beethoven, and Chopin, and things of that nature. It's a great piece of music put to put alongside or to complement the emotions that are going on inside this film. It's a great piece of great piece of music for that. It's played once by by the by the painter to the um, to the person being painted uh, as a sign of affection because she stated that she likes music but she doesn't get a chance to hear enough of it. So I guess in a way to satisfy her, she um, plays plays that music for her, and all that does is just put more. It's putting more building blocks and it's just putting more materials onto the relationship and building it up. Um, but I'm almost going to forget. But all while this is happening, the sub story is the servant has gotten pregnant somehow. Well, not somehow. Somebody smashed her, as the kids say. She's gotten pregnant, and she's trying all these god awful medieval ways to abort the child. I feel like she's drinking a lot. She's exercising. She's basically seeing a witch doctor, and that's another thing. So that's another instance where they use uh, imagery to connect things. So while she's laying down on this bed, basically getting a consultation from this witch doctor to try and abort this child, there's an actual child, like a born child. I don't know how to put it. There's a child on the bed, and she's interacting with that child as she's trying to stamp out a child, which I think is if you can try and grasp that. I'm talking about myself in this moment. If I can try and understand what I'm watching, it's I won't say yin and yang, but it's it's heartbreaking. The best way I could put it to watch something to be watching something in an instance when life is trying to be erased and they're showing that how beautiful life is, but in her circumstance, she can't take care of that child. So, you know, there's not too many other alternatives. Um, but these two, at a certain point in the movie, they go full throttle and there's no turning back. And at that point, like I said, the movie's just getting better and better and better. It's like a slow burn, basically. It starts off slow and low, and then they turn that heat up close to the end, and she does one gesture for her. After she's got done painting her portrait, I almost left out the best part. Well, the best part is when they go to like a town gathering of sorts, and there's a fire. Oh, of course, portrait lady on fire, and they lock eyes over the fire, and she's not paying attention at that point, and her dress catches on fire, and basically, for some reason, she faints, but she wasn't burnt by the fire. She faints, and then they step on her. And the next scene is those two looking into one another's eyes and all this, uh, you know, love stuff. um, so the movie continues, and I almost was about to say, she creates one gesture for her. She takes a book that she's been reading, that the three of them, the servant, the convent girl, and the painter, have a discussion over. Of course, it's about love too. Of course, about love as well. They have a discussion. Those three have a discussion about that. That book she's been holding, the comic girl. She's been holding that pretty much the whole film, and you know, they pretty much understand where they're at. Her arranged marriage is not going to stop. They're not going to run off together and be happy, anything like that. They're going to continue to live their lives the way as things are planned. But the girl who's painting her portrait has done a miniature version of that for herself, and they're having a conversation. And the comic girl is like, "Well, if you have that, what am I supposed to look at?" She's like, "Do you want me to make you one?" She's like, "Yeah." It's like, "Where you want to put it?" She's like, "Okay, give me your book." There's a uh, there's a page in the book that's just like one paragraph. So she sketches another portrait of her on the book, the self portrait on the book. And it comes into play later on in the film when um, she she's at some art gallery, and this is a time when there's no TV, no cell phones, no, the only forms of entertainment that people have is actually going to view paintings and like operas or musical performances. So I think I've said this before. The comic girl, is actually from a lot of money. So her she has another portrait being displayed at at an art gallery, basically, or a showing. And in this portrait, it's her and her young child. But guess what? She's holding that book, and it's open to that page. And it's open to that page, and that's where it almost got me. The movie almost made me cry right there. It was pretty good. And then you have the end of the film, of course, when I guess they give it a climax with the playing of this really high energy song. And of course, they use this time to invoke tears from the audience, and they're and the comic girl by this time is not no longer a girl; she's a grown woman, and she's going through a whole range of emotions. She's crying, trying to hold them back, laughing, remembering, and then they fade to black on it. So overall, it's a decent movie. I think I make this same argument every time. It's good to watch something other than a comic book movie. Um, I'm just gonna try and not seem like I have a vendetta against those against that particular genre. I'm just saying there's other movies out there. This happens to be one of them, and it's a great watch.